Let's go.
All right. Hilchos Yesodei Hatorah, Dalid tests. We began Ches talking about the concept of the nefesh, this what we called this fourth dimension that was not really tied into the elements, to the four elements. Um, so, and we were describing the characteristics of it. So he continues in in Halacha Tes, he says, Ein tzuras hanefesh hazos mechuberes min hayesodos, kedei shetipared lahem. So this nefesh that has some kind of a tzura to it, some kind of a form, yet it's not related or connected at all to any of those four elements that we have discussed in the past: earth, wind, fire, and water. Um, Kadeshati powered lahem, right? They're not at all combined because those elements will eventually wither away. The nefesh doesn't. The eno mikoach haneshama, nor does this nefesh come from the neshama. Now, what's a little bit confusing is that we always interchange the nefesh and the neshama, but there's some kind of difference. I'm not exactly sure what. Um, Neshama maybe is some kind of collection of I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't comment. I didn't see any commentary on this. But anyways, and this nefesh doesn't come at all from the neshama. Ad shetiyeh tzricha neshama, kamosha netzricha guf. Meaning, it doesn't. This nefesh doesn't come from the neshama. Um, doesn't like require this neshama, just like the neshama requires the guf. It's different. Ella. So then, if it doesn't, so then if this nefesh doesn't come from neshama, where does it come from? Ella me'es Hashem min hanashamayim. This nefesh, this soul, is not related at all anything with the body. It's completely external. It comes directly from God. So eventually, when everything wears away and all the matter is gone, the tovet haneshama, and the neshama is gone, along with the guf, because the neshama and the guf go hand in hand. Lo tikares hatzura hazos. But if the neshama is gone and the guf is gone, so what's left is the nefesh. Okay, this exists by itself. This tsura will not be removed. Okay, because this nefesh is not at all necessary for anything to do with the neshama and what the neshama does. Ella, so what does the nefesh do, so to speak? Eliodas umaseges hadeos haprudos min haglomim. Right, what it does is it understands the knowledge on a higher level than our elements actually do. V'yodas boreh hakol ve'omedes la'olam olmei olamim, and it knows God, the Creator, that is forever. Husha Amar Shlomo b'chachmasa. This is what the pasuk at the end of Koheles means when it says v'yashov ha'afar al haaretz. Right. So Shlomo says that the afar will return and go back to the earth, kishahaya, as it was, v'haruach tashuv el elokim asher netana, and the ruach will return back to God where it came from. Right, and I think what the Rambam means by the word ruach. Remember in the previous in the previous halacha, he said that the ruach and nefesh are two words that are synonyms. So here, I think he's reminding us that even though the pasuk says the ruach will go back, the ruach and nefesh, I believe, are the same thing according to the Rambam. Okay, so that's number 9. Number 10, halacha yud. Kol hadvarim ha'ela shedibarnu b'inyan zeh kamar midli hemudvar mamukim him. So everything which we spoke about for the last week or two, right, all of these difficult and very, very esoteric comments are just a fraction of what is available. And it's very, very deep, the Rambam tells us. As deep as you think it is, it pales in comparison to the first 2 chapters. Remember what the first 2 chapters were about? It was about Abbas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. So, I don't know, I think first I thought the Rambam was being sarcastic over here because I don't think we've understood anything in the last couple of weeks. At least the first chapter or 2 was basic, the fundamental beliefs of Abbas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. And then we we took a left turn to talk about the heavens and the spheres and the Galgals and the Malachim. But nevertheless, the Rambam says that the first 2 prakim are way, way more difficult to understand than what we just spoke about now. Okay. Uber kol elu hadvarim shebeperek shlishi urvi. This chapter and the previous one that talked about the planets and the mazals and all of the galgalim, hua nikra ma'aseh breshis. That is what we call ma'aseh breshit. V'kach tzivu hachachamim harishonim. And the Rambam already reminded us last chapter, but this is exactly what we were warned. She'ein darshan b'dvarim ha'elu barabim. This is not a course that should be publicly announced, right? Not a good thing. This is only for a Zoom audience of 2 people or less. So I think I don't know if you include the teacher or not, that's a problem. But anyways, it has to be actually to 1 person, right? So it has to be taught.
But it's going on the YouTube.
That's true. So do you go by the teaching or do you go by the recording? Mm-hmm. Wow. That is an awesome chakira. Okay. But anyways, we are allowed to teach it only to 1 person, and that's it, because these are very, very deep and difficult concepts. And as we mentioned last time, the Mishnah in Chagiga, in the beginning of the 2nd chapter, on Daf Yud Aleph or so, talks about it at length. So the number 11 says, we're up to Halacha Yud Aleph. So we spoke about Maisa Breshis. Maisa Merkava is also the story, the beginning of Yecheskel that talks about the throne of God and the description and the angels and Chashmal, if you know what that is, and everything that's going on in the beginning of Yecheskel, that's called Maisa Merkava. So what's the difference? So Maisa Merkava, even 1 person who's not on a high level, you can't talk about it with him, right? And if he is on a high level, you could only do bits and pieces, like headlines. Maisa Breshis, you could teach even a plebeian, right? Even though that person doesn't really understand. And you explain to him, you could tell him what's going on, right? About whatever it is that he at least could understand. Why can't you have a shir klali on these kinds of topics? Because the average person doesn't have the knowledge necessary to understand. Ubir called Dvarim al Burian, to understand it completely. And if you can't understand it completely, sometimes you end up scoffing and make fun of, right? If you are in class in a subject, you have no idea what's going on. So not only is it just a waste of time, you end up ridiculing it. And this is something that really should not be ridiculed. So, okay. Should I do one last one? Bisman she'adam misbonen bidvarim ha'elu. So when a person misbonen literally means to meditate, right? The Rambam is going back to what he said, like in the beginning of the second chapter, about the point of all this is that if you really like look around and see what's going on, it's you have to be deaf, dumb, and blind, uh, you know, to miss out and realize that there's a God, in front of you. There's so much going on that it's hard to miss, right? So that's what all of this stuff in the universe is for us to contemplate its existence, right? So that's why when a person meditates, umakar kol bruin, and starts to look around and say, wow, and he recognizes mimalach, right? He understands on some level the creation of angels, the galgal, and all these galgalim, the adam, and even human beings, kiyotzebo, the Yireach Chachmaso Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? This is all, the sole purpose of this is for us to appreciate God. B'chol hayitzurim v'chol habruim, God and everything that He made in the world. Then Mosif Ahava Lamakom. So what it does is it increases your love of God. V'timtza nafsho, right? And you yearn for more, so to speak. V'yichma b'saro lehav hamakom baruch hu. And you long for God. You want to delve into these, right? You want to delve into the understanding of God. So this is all like, so to speak, bait for us to try to see the bigger picture. The yira v'yifchad, and then we will have yira, we'll have fear, and pachad mishveluso v'daluso v'kaloso k'she'arach atzmo lechem agufas agdushim agdolim. Right? We're going to be in awe and fear, right? From our lowly state, that we're on such a low level compared to God, right? When we compare ourselves, how low we are to how great God is, the kol sheken la'achas ma'atzuras hatahoros hanifrados, and certainly comparing ourselves not only to God, but kal v'chomer, when we compare to other forms which are separate, right? He's going back to his elements again, right? Right? Something that does not have matter, like maybe he's referring to angels, right? Things that are separate from these elements and don't have any connection with it at all. Right? It's like the davening we say, right? When you start looking at yourself and how insignificant you are in this universe, right, compared to others, you'll feel like a nothing, like a gunisht, as they say in Yiddish, right? And you'll be just embarrassed, and you'll have reik v'chaser. You'll be just completely devoid and lacking everything. So I guess we'll end on that low note.